Hi, I'm Atomicus from OWKings.com, and today I'll talk about Pharah on Ilios. Anything from team compositions to different engagement angles and whatnot. As of yet, Pharah works against certain compositions, primarily ones that don't have that many hitscan heroes such as McCree, Widowmaker, and Soldier 76. Before we continue, make sure you check out the main guide for Pharah since I'll skip the basic stuff about her in this video. Ilios, overall, is a good map for Pharah since there are plenty of buildings that you can use as cover or flanking paths. Only the ruin side of the map can be a little tricky for Pharah since there is a lot of open space that the hitscan heroes can benefit against Pharah. Alright, we're going to start with the lighthouse. Initially, as you roll out, you want to be able to spam the middle choke point in case they don't have any shields, but also so you spot anyone who's coming from that direction. If nobody is coming from the middle path, then it's usually the left side instead, with the right side being the most uncommon path that leads directly towards the point. For now, you can just chill on the balcony and check what composition they have and where the enemy team is coming from. If they have any hitscan heroes, they will most likely go on the opposite balcony, especially if it's a Soldier 76. Overall, the left building here has some nice spots that you can use as cover and also provide you with a nice high ground advantage. From here, if the enemy team is on the left side, you can just fly above the building and flank them from above. Ideally, you want to focus any key targets whenever you flank like this. Soldier 76, McCree, and Anna can be taken out relatively easily if you manage to surprise them effectively. You can also use your concussive blast to disrupt the enemy's group formation so you can help your team during fights. If the enemy team decides to go straight to the point initially, then you can try to contest their balcony and punish them from there. Here you can also use your concussive blast to push some of them off the map as they go towards the point. If they don't have a Reinhardt in their composition, then you can also use the high ground near the lighthouse so you have a good angle to spam the enemy team regardless of where they are coming from. Once you have the point under your control, you can sit on their balcony and peek towards the enemy spawn so you can scout and potentially kill a squishy target as they walk towards the point. From here, once you know where the enemy team is, you can easily just flank them by flying around the houses in this area. If they decide to push towards the balcony, you can just fly away and wait for them to push in and punish them afterwards. Always try to get an environmental kill whenever you spot someone who is foolish enough to walk close to the edge towards the point. After all, who doesn't like easy kills? When it comes to retaking the point, you can approach the situation in the same manner as the initial team fight. If they have a hitscan hero on their balcony, flank him using the building to the left. If they have nobody that can contest high ground, you can just fly towards the lighthouse and deal damage from here as your teammates are pushing in. Ideally, you don't want to fight on the point, but if it gets to that, then don't forget that you can also use the window above the point to deal some damage from above. In terms of using your barrage on your own, use it when you flank or when you're above choke points such as these doorways. Of course, if you have the luxury to combo with a Zarya, Reinhardt or Mei ultimate, do that instead. Moving on to the next part of Ilios, we have the well, which is relatively the same as the lighthouse, except that it will be easier to land environmental kills here. Initially, you want yourself already up in the air so you can spam the main choke point as you approach the point. From here, the enemy team might be split depending on what they have, with some people coming from the main choke point or from the left. Just like with the lighthouse part of the map, we also have the same building here located on the left side, with the same advantages as before. You can pretty much apply the same flanking strategy here as well. Fly over the building and punish the enemy team from behind. Another path that you can use for flanking is the one to the right, around the point. This building has some really nice spots that you can use as cover while also shooting at the enemy. From here, you can also drop on the lower floor and pick up the small health pack if you need it. Keep in mind that regardless of what path you take, you should always try to get an environmental kill after you flank the enemy team. It's usually easier from these angles, especially if they have a Reinhardt holding near their choke point. Deciding on what path you should take is up to what composition they have and how they are positioned overall. If they have Soldier 76 sitting left side, then you should use the building from the left side to flank him and hopefully take him out. If the left flank is clear, then you can use the spots on the right building to just pour down rockets on the enemy team from above. From here, you can also just go around and disrupt their backline while your team is engaging them. So overall, pay attention to the enemy's positioning and use these two flanking routes accordingly to your advantage. Once you have the point under your control, you can sit on top of some of these buildings so you can spam the enemy spawn as they walk towards the point. From here, you can also scout what they will try to do, so once they get closer, just fall back and be ready to flank them as they push in. If you need to retake the point, you usually want to use the right path for flanking, since you can use the building as cover and most of the time you won't get detected, compared to going left side above the building. However, if you spot any hit scans heroes on the left side, then flanking from the left side is better in this scenario. You basically want to surprise either Ana or any hit scan heroes that might contest you. Using your barrage on your own here is relatively easy, since you have the two paths that you can use for flanking. Usually, by the time the enemy team spots you, it should be too late. You can easily hide aggressively in one of the houses towards the enemy spawn and wait for them to push in, then use your barrage on them. Okay, so lastly we have the ruins, which is the last part of Ilios. This side is quite different from the other two, mostly due to the fact that there is a lot of open space near the point with not so much cover to use. From my experience, I usually meet a Widowmaker or Soldier 76 on this map quite often, so playing Pharah here can be quite difficult overall. Alright, so initially, once again, you want to get up in the air and start spamming the main choke point that the enemy team will use. After that, you should just chill before engaging so you can see what composition they have and act accordingly. If they have hitscan heroes, then unless you have a dive comp with Winston, Genji, Zarya, Lucio, and Ana or Zen, you won't be able to flank or engage properly in that situation. In this case, your best bet is to just spam from a distance as your team pushes in and move in as your team is getting closer to the point. Flying above the point will usually be a suicide mission, since the only cover you can use are the pillars, and you'll be constantly under the pressure of conserving your jet fuel to stay in the air for long periods of time. If the left flank is clear, then you could use this area to move towards a Widowmaker or Soldier 76 that are holding in the back. Using your jump jet concussive blast combo can offer you a nice speed boost towards one of those key targets. Another way of trying to approach the enemy backline is by going right side using the pillars as cover as much as you can, while also taking advantage of the mega health pack situated here. You can also potentially push some people off the map with your concussive blast here. When you have the point under your control, you can use the ruins to your advantage by sitting on them so you can scout and deal damage once the enemy team pushes in again. Sometimes it's best to just hide and let the key targets pass, unaware of your location, then surprise them in an attempt to take them out. In terms of retaking the point, you can try using the same strategies that you used in the initial team fight. If the enemy team is holding closer to your spawn point, then you can use the ruins for cover or to flank as your team pushes in. In this case, you should basically punish any key targets that got too close to your side of the map, since here, you'll be able to use the high ground and cover to your advantage. The best way to use the barrage on your own here is by hiding on certain ruins or in buildings and surprise the enemy team after they pushed in. Otherwise, try to combo with a Zarya, Reinhardt, or Mei if they are available in your team composition. As always, remember that if you are heavily contested by hitscan heroes and you feel like you can't do anything anymore, then you should swap your hero to something else. These are the overall options in case they have double hitscan heroes or even one that is capable of locking you down as soon as you show up. If they don't have any hitscan heroes, then you should have the time of your life, since you'll be able to benefit from all the space around the point without getting contested at all. Winning in this scenario should be quite easy. Alright, so this brings us to the end of this guide. I hope that you have learned some new things about Pharah on Ilios, and on that note, thank you so much for watching and I wish you a good one. Take care.